It is Monday, the 19th of August, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. We're back again for another week, and we're back again with Will Wood. You may recall that I talked about him back in June. I talked about his song Tomcat Disposables back then. Today we're talking about another song from the same album, Cicada Days. It's the third track on the album, although to me it really feels like an opener. Now, partially that's because it's the first song of the album I heard. It was released as a single, and I heard it before the album came out, or at least before I listened to the album. But, I mean, you'll understand when you listen to it, it just feels like an opener. I understand why Tomcat Disposables was the opener instead, obviously, and Tomcat Disposables is also a great opener, but I would have been happy if Cicada Days was track 1, and then Tomcat Disposables was track 2, and then Becoming the Last Names was track 3. I think just, shifted around like that would have made sense to me. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the song itself. I don't think I need to give too much preamble. If you want to hear me talk about Will Wood, go listen to the previous episode about one of his songs. All you really need to know before we listen to it, this song is on In Case I Make It from 2022. Will Wood has written a lot about it on the Genius page, so a lot of what I'm saying today will be cross-referenced with what he said about it there. He originally wrote the song as part of a song a day challenge, and he didn't end up writing very many songs on very many days, but this one he ended up really liking, and he kind of redeveloped and reinterpreted it when it came time to make this album. So that's pretty cool. I like challenges like that. I tried a song a day challenge. I tried to write 365 songs in a year, and I got to 180, which is not even half, but it's still a lot of songs. So I'm kind of proud of that. I just wish some of them were better songs. Anyway, so let's go listen to the song now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. I love the progression of this song from like soft to standard sort of full band sound, and then like full on massive smashing bridge and final chorus. I love when songs do that. It's very effective in this case. Really caught me off guard the first time I listened to it, and yeah, it's really good. So let's read a bit of what Will Wood had to say about this song, or specifically why it's Cicada Days, why it is this way. Cicadas spend the vast majority of their 17-year life cycles underground. They chew on roots for the better part of 2 decades, crawl up trees, Cronenberg Kafka into enormous flies, that's a great way to describe it, tear out of their alien shells, scream for 2 months, and die. I guess Cicada Days could either be a long time spent growing but not emerging, or they could be days spent struggling to become something new that doesn't quite pan out so great. Or they could be the 2 months of screaming, or maybe it's the height of summer, or the days when you can't stand the noise outside. I guess I don't really know, but the words feel kind of right to say. The big noisy final chorus was kind of a limb I went out on while making the demo for this one. I didn't have a bridge or a last chorus, and because I was no longer looking at songs as needing to always be some anthem like I used to, I was willing to risk ruining it by trying something new, so I just said to myself, what if I put another chorus here and just made it really unpleasant? The sounds you hear are guitarist Mike Bottiglieri in a tiny ISO booth with his guitar and amp cranked, manipulating the feedback. We had to put earplugs and gun range earmuffs on him for safety, and I had to give visual cues instead of playback to track along with. I feel like this track is a pretty essential example of the ways in which I've changed as an artist and as a person over the past couple of years. On that last note, I want to say, I mentioned in the Tomcat Disposables episode how this album is so different to Will Wood's previous work. He did a lot of noisy stuff, very fast-paced stuff, very frantic, often kind of edgy lyrics in a lot of places. And this album has those things, but it also has a lot of, it centers the ukulele and has a lot of softer moments as well, and falsetto and things like that. And this song's a perfect example of it because it starts off in that soft space and then builds up to the big abrasive stuff afterwards, So you can interpret this song a few ways. Generally, it's about a big change coming and not knowing if you're ready for it. But it can generally also be interpreted as being a breakup song with other things mixed in there. So let's start going through the lyrics. The greener grass grows where the wildfires fertilize, with ashes of sparrows, peppered moths and butterflies, ghosts of trees and termites bloom in the beanstalk. And if you get lightheaded when standing too fast, is it from shaking out the weight of phosphenes and pasts, salt deposits and warm little rivers that burst from our words? It's very poetically written, this song. The lyrics are very specific and deliberate, It's also just very hard to say the greener grass grows where the wildfires fertilize. That's a bit of a tongue twister. So Will said himself that this is sort of a play on the grass is always greener on the other side, saying how, when a wildfire burns a place down, it may make the ground more fertile for new growth, but that doesn't mean it was worth the forest burning down in the first place, And also, if you get lightheaded when standing too fast, he mentions having this issue of getting lightheaded when you stand too fast, which is often, it can be a sign of anemia, quite often it is. He doesn't explain why he had that feeling himself here, but you get dizzy and you see stars or phosphenes, and he viewed that as a good metaphor for what was happening in his life, just getting messed up by simply changing your position. So it's an interesting way to phrase that, And God knows crying ain't gonna change a thing. She said, take care, but I take more than I bring. So this is the first introduction of she here, which makes you feel like it's a breakup song. And this little play on take care, which is usually said as like a goodbye, like safe travels, take care, right? But I take more than I bring. So kind of implying maybe that he didn't bring care, or he did bring care and he wants to take more than that. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of a play on that. She said, it just feels inhumane to lose this much, because when you leave, you take more than your love. Just 1 week of cicada days, we're losing touch, and I know it just feels inhumane to lose this much. Yeah, it just feels inhumane to lose this much is an interesting way to categorize this, especially if it's talking about a breakup. Inhumane is a very extreme word to use there, because when you leave, you take more than your love. It's not just your love that you take, it's you, it's everything that goes along with it, all the feelings associated with you. It's not just the love. 1 week of cicada days, we're losing touch, so this change that's happening, these cicada days are causing them to lose touch, and then just the repeating of, I know it just feels inhuman to lose this much. Our nerves were braided under ceiling stars that were all glow in the dark, hanging over queen-sized purple waves of ancient chemicals just whisper. Now, so Will says that the idea of nerves being braided is his thought of like a really visceral way of describing a deep level of intimacy. Your nerves are literally braided together, right? The idea of the ceiling stars, he says, I once spent a long time with someone and shared a space with them, and they had little plastic glow-in-the-dark stars in their ceiling. I don't know if he means just a friend or a romantic partner or whatever, but point is someone important to him, and they had like glow-in-the-dark ceiling stars, which you're probably familiar with. My brother had them. Purple waves of ancient chemicals just whisper. He mentions how a lot of his lyrics come across kind of cryptic because often they're just things that he understands and doesn't necessarily want to explain to other people. So that explains why this line is really weird. But the ancient chemicals are love. It's just talking about feeling those chemicals, the love in your head, these ancient chemicals, because love is an ancient feeling, right? And he sings whisper loudly as sort of a ironic thing of, he says to emphasize how beautiful it is to have someone to whisper with, which is so lovely, to share something with someone, that's just between the two of you. I do also love the kind of falsetto he goes into here that makes him sound like Kermit the Frog a bit. The purple waves of ancient chemicals. It gets a bit froggy there. Whisper. Did you ever build with those endangered bones while the ground looks soft enough to bury this now? Oh please, oh no. Will says that this song is about grief, in a way. Grieving a relationship, more likely, I guess. And he's talking about finally being ready to move on from something. The ground looks soft enough to bury this now, And the oh please, oh no is supposed to be a sort of non-descriptive begging something to stop happening, right? And then my sponsor said, do nothing, nothing works. And then my doctor said, don't do that if it hurts. So this was always my favorite part of this song. Sponsor being, someone who helps you get through recovery programs. Do nothing, nothing works is a reference to the idea that sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing at all, which is often true. But it's also sort of a play on the idea that there is no hope, nothing actually works, it's hopeless. So it kind of means both there. The doctor's line is based on an old joke. Will Wood credits it to Henry Youngman. I don't know if that is specifically the person who did that, but the old joke is patient goes to the doctor and says, doctor, it hurts when I do this. And the doctor says, well, then stop doing that. And so the line here is the doctor said, don't do that if it hurts, right? Referencing that. She said, it just feels inhumane to lose this much, because when you leave, you take more than your love. The seasons of cicada days we can't make up. I know it just feels inhumane to lose this much. So the only line that changes in that chorus is the season of cicada days we can't make up. Again, just like talking about how it's all going to shit, basically. We can't recover these lost times. And then we get the big outro that I love. The full band kicks in. Everything kicks up. Let all my red flags fade to white. Yeah, I give up. Don't let me leave. I'll only take more than I gave. Okay, I'll pack my stuff. Here at the end of days, my God, what have I done? Christ, now it feels damn inhumane to get all I've dreamed of. So I love this. Let all my red flags fade to white, right? Red flags being a common metaphor for the things that should indicate to you that a relationship is bad, or that you should be wary of, that there's danger there. there, right? Someone's red flags are the things that are off-putting about them. A white flag is generally associated with an army surrendering. It's often referred to as the surrender flag. So he's talking about let all my red flags fade to white, like he's saying, never mind, I'm giving up, right? And I love the way that's phrased. Don't let me leave, and immediately followed by, okay, I'll pack my stuff, is a great little bit there as well of kind of saying things that you don't really mean and then just like, okay, I'll pack my stuff. Like it's, kind of turning on a dime. Saying at the end of days instead of cicada days kind of defies expectations, but also shows how seismic this change feels in his life that he calls it the end of days, And then it feels damn inhumane to get all I've dreamed of. And that's the classic, getting what you've always wanted and realizing that you don't want it anymore or that it isn't what you expected, right? And then the outro is keep coming back. It works if you work it. So work it. You're worth it. It won't if you don't. One day at a time. Tomorrow's too late. Amen. And you can kind of hear that it's not just Will saying this, it's a group chant, it's a bunch of people saying it. And that's because this is actually a common group chant in 12-step programs. And it lends, you can kind of pick it up from the other lyrics anyway, but this at the end really solidifies that possibly a big reason why there's these big changes happening, why this breakup is happening, or why these changes are affecting him so much is the idea of addiction and recovery, right? Because recovery is itself a big change in someone's life. Just as much as addiction changes someone's life, recovering from it also changes your life vastly. So putting in this little recovery thing at the end, it's kind of like he's saying, it ends with a recovery chant, right? So it's kind of like he's trying to impress power over these cicada days. Like he's trying to finally root himself into I am going to get through this. I'm going to make it through this year if it kills me, and I really like that. I have weird feelings about 12-step programs and AA and shit like that because they're so religious, but I do love little chants like this. It's great. I enjoy it. Prayers work. There's a reason why religions are successful. Anyway, sociologically, Anyway, I know I just read through the lyrics and read what Will Wood said about it mostly, but I don't really have too much else to say about the song. There's a music video, which is essentially a lyric video with a bunch of footage. Don't watch it if you don't like video of cicadas and bugs emerging from shells and shit and flashing lights and whatever. But it is a good video, and it really sells the impact of the song, especially with the big, let all my red flags, he really punching you with it. This is me editing this after the fact to put in a thing that I forgot to talk about. There's a fucking shit post on YouTube called Will Wood Stubs His Toe from Another Room ASMR. It's great. I reference it to my friends a lot, and a lot of the clips from it come from this song. I will put a link to it below. Please watch it. It's hilarious. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you thought, tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
And then my sponsor said, do nothing, nothing works. And then my soctor, is that like a sock puppet doctor?